The 2-bucket retirement plan. That's what we're going to talk about here today. This is going to make everything so simple for when you're considering retiring. Now, I got to tell you, it's not just for a retirement plan. It's for any kind of income planning when you're looking at your portfolio and the income you need to get through the day and you don't want to run out of money. But we're just going to talk about today as a retirement plan because we're going to assume you're drawing some Social Security. So the 2-bucket retirement plan cannot get any simpler than this. And simple is good when it comes to retirement. Keep it simple, stupid. We do not want complexity. Complexity is the enemy of successful retirement plans. So welcome to the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel, my friends, the place where you come to learn everything there is about retirement planning, taxes, investment, the whole thing. If you want to learn finance, you're at the right place, so don't forget to subscribe. We're down here in my basement. Not the best lighting, but I wanted to be down here to show you my little whiteboard thing here. I thought I'd do more videos down here, actually, and maybe at one time I will, but I just want to show you how these work because I think it's pretty important how to get a visual on what we're going to talk about here today as opposed to just a spreadsheet. All right, so the premise here is we have we'll just say John and Mary. They have $360,000 of assets. They need $50,000 a year in income. All right, so if $360,000, they need $50,000 a year. And they got Social Security represent $30,000 a year. So we got to do some planning to make sure that they have some Social Security kicking in because Social Security is a big deal. And a lot of people discount it. It's not going to be there or because of Trump or Paul Ryan. Don't care. The facts are we got to plan accordingly for Social Security. So again, $360,000 in assets. I hope that's not backwards. It might be, but I can't tell. $50,000 of their income need and $30,000 a year from Social Security, which means they have a gap of $20K year gap. That's got to come from there. All right, so they got $20,000 a year that's got to come from the $360,000. So if we take our trusty calculator, we say that's a 5.5% distribution rate, 5.5%, which is pretty scary because we're always told it should be 4%. Some now tell us 3.2 because the bonds are so low. Others say 5 to 5.5 is fine. We just don't know. The rule of thumb for the 4% rule is 4.4%. That's if you have a 60 to 40 stock bond ratio, you rebalance it every year, and you don't ever get out of the market when the market goes down. And that does not include taxes, and it doesn't include investment fees either. So when you factor in taxes and investment fees, that 4.4% rule begins to look a little bit stretchy. So I'm going to show you how to avoid that outright. So we need $20,000 a year off this guy right here. All right, so $20,000 a year has got to be derived from our portfolio. And our portfolio is just our assets, our liquid net worth. We're not even talking about the equity in your home or anything. We're just talking about these 3 buckets: what we need, what we have coming to us, and what we have. So far, so good. All right, so let's erase all this. And we're going to, let me just get my little trusty thing here, my little whiteboard spray. All right. And we'll go back to a scenario of how this is going to work. Now, remember, my friends, Social Security is your bond. All right. That's a bond. That's what it is. It's an annuity / bond. Bonds and annuities, when it comes to retirement, are synonymous. All right. Now, with an annuity, you don't get any residual after 20 years of when it matures. You don't get your money back, which is why annuities pay more than bonds, because bonds, they give you a coupon, 3%, and then annuity, then you get your $100,000 back at maturity. So again, a 10-year Treasury bond right now is paying 3%. You get $3,000 a year each and every year off a $100,000 investment. And 20 years from now, or 10 years from now, I should say, you get your money back. That's how it works. Literally that simple. An annuity probably pay about 5.5% depending on your age, and if it's a joint account between you and your spouse. So it's $5,500 a year for the rest of your life guaranteed, which could maybe be 10 years, might be 30 years. We don't know, but they're going to pay you a whole lot more up front because you're getting a return of principal. You're getting your money back. And so you're going to get $5,500 a year. You don't know how long you're going to get it for. You might get it for 7 years. You might get it for 25. We just don't know, but we know we're going to get $5,500 a year. That's why an annuity pays out more, because you're getting some of your principal back. All right, so let's go back to the $360,000. Remember, we needed $20,000 a year in income. So the first thing we want to do is we want to have $60,000 in bucket 1. That's number 1. In cash or CDs or a combination thereof. We want $60,000, all right, because we have $30,000 a year kicking in from Social Security. We need $50,000 a year, so we want 3 years cash right here. 3 years cash. So every year we can tap into the $60,000 for $20,000 a year, $20,000 a year, $20,000 a year without worrying about the markets. All right, so that's what we want. So that means we leave $300,000 in bucket 2. And we want this invested in the market. No bonds. No bonds. And for you Spanish speakers, no bonds. Why? Because we already have bonds called Social Security. Social Security should be considered a bond. Any kind of guaranteed income is the equivalent of a bond. You're getting an income that you cannot outlive. It's guaranteed, and a bond for the most part is guaranteed unless it's a corporate bond where it could go bankrupt. So that's what we want. We want $300,000 over here and $60,000 over here. Now what happens is, and we want this in the market. So let's just using an example that we get 7% a year rate of return. So we get 7% a year rate of return. What does that give us on any given year? Well, that would give us $300,000 times 7% will make this account worth $321 the following year. We got $21,000 more as a rate of return, $321. But we've taken $20,000 over here to pay the bill. So now we only got $40,000. You see? So now we only got $40,000 in here, and we have $321 over here. Does anything jump out at you? Because we've had to take $20,000 from this guy in order to live on. So we're down to $40,000, which is not 3 years of cash. Now it's only down to 2. We got 2 years of cash. So what happens? Well, we'd want to take this amount and dump it over here. We want to take our gains off the table and replenish the $20,000 we spent. So now we got $61,000 because we've taken our gains off the table, and we're right back here at $300. That won't be taxable either, my friends. If you have $50,000 a year, of which $30,000 comes from capital gain, and you sell a position for $21,000 as a capital gain, that's not going to be taxable. No capital gains tax on that because you're still in the 12% tax bracket. Now, if this comes from an IRA, which most likely it will, you're going to have $21,000 on top of your Social Security, on top of what if this is in an IRA, you're going to have $41,000 of distributions because you're going to pull your $20,000 out from your CDs or a cash account. Plus, you're going to pull your $21,000. Well, actually, you won't even do that because you're just going to transfer the $21,000 you have over here into the CD bucket. You're still only pulling $20,000 a year out. It just depends on the context. I'm going to assume these are both IRAs because we have $360,000 for an employer-sponsored plan, be an IRA, 401k. Just because this is cash doesn't mean it has to go out of the umbrella of the tax-qualified account, i.e. an IRA. We just have it as CDs. We just have it a money market account, however we do it. So moving the $21,000 of a gain that we've made over here to there is still IRA to IRA. That's not a taxable event. Now, when that money comes out, it's a taxable event. So you got $20,000 of taxable income there and $30,000 of Social Security. So in that case, your provisional income there is $30,000. That means you're not paying any tax on your Social Security, and you're going to have $20,000 of taxable income. You take out your 2 standard deductions, you have no tax, right? None whatsoever. 2 standard deductions are either $24,000 or $26,600, depending how old you are, which means it's well above the $20,000 of taxable income you've taken from this account. So you pull $20,000 out to live on. That will get a 1099 if it's an IRA, but it's not going to be taxable because your standard deductions are above your taxable income. I can't stress this enough. Now, say these are not IRAs and these are taxable. Well, you're not paying tax on the $20,000 you put out of your CD because you're just getting a return of principal. You only pay tax on the interest, which will be nominal because the rates are so low. It might be a couple $100, whoop-de-doo. Now, you would pay tax by selling this $321 and selling the $21 over here, but that's just a capital gain, and it won't be taxed either. Why? Because you're still in the 12% tax bracket. I'm just telling you, if you know the tax code, you can work this without paying any tax whatsoever. It works like a charm. All right, so now let's go back up here. Now we're going to say we don't have a 7% rate of return. We're back to 3 years cash here. All right, so we got $61,000. And ideally, what I would suggest, watch this. All right, so we're just going to delete all that. What I would suggest is you got $20,000 in cash, 20 in a 1-year CD, and 20 in a 2-year CD. So let's just say the cash is paying you, I don't know, 1%. Well, I'm just using that for example, 2% and 3%. Here you're making at least a little bit more income. I mean, so you're making $600 a year there, you're making $400 a year there, and you're making $200 a year there. I mean, that's real money. That's just a fact. Will it be taxable to you? No, because your standard deductions are above any taxable income that you have. So I would do a 1-year CD, a 2-year CD, and basically checking account. I don't think you're going to get in this day and age 1% in a checking account. All right, so now what happens? All right, so now a year goes by, and we're done with this right here. All right, so that 1-year CD matures, and now that 1-year CD is now cash. And we're not making 2% anymore on cash account. So say 1% here. This 2-year CD is now 1 year. But because we had it locked in for 2 years, it's still giving us that 3% interest. And again, that's probably a little bit high, but still. So we got $20,000 in cash, $20,000 in a 1-year CD, and then we moved, but now the markets have fallen. So we're going to say the market is down. It fell 20%. So 20% on $300,000 is down to $240,000. All right. So now we're lost. We're down to $240K here because the market has fallen to $240K, and we've taken the $20,000 out of cash, and we just have $40,000 left. All right, so now the market, we don't do any transactions here. We don't move money from here to there. No. Why? Because we do not want to sell when the market is down. So we don't move anything. We just keep it in this account for now. So now I only got $200,000, right? So watch what happens. That's a 20% decline too. So that's not, that's pretty common, but it only happens every 4 or 5 years. So that does happen, but not every year, that's for sure. All right, so now though we're down to $20,000, we're down to $60,000, but we're back up here to $20,000. All right, so now the market is up again. We'll say 10% for simplicity. So that's back up to 264 with 10%, because the market typically after it falls, it comes back. Generally speaking, there's no pattern to this, my friends. It's very random. But if the market is down 20% in 1 year, generally speaking, the next year will be up a little bit too. All right, so now we're at the 264. But now we're down to here. This is gone. So now this 1-year CD is in cash. So now we're like, yikes, what are we going to do? And now we're going to say again, the market is back up to 10%. I was just using that for an example. It's probably good. Actually, that would probably be more. But that's another $26,400. So I got to get my trusty calculator and say 264 plus 26.4 gives us $290,000 right there. $290,000. Now we're wiped out of cash. All right. So we got no cash. No cash. All right. But we have enough to live on year 1, 2, and 3. So we lived on year 1. We did not take any money of the market. Year 2, the market gives another 10% back. Year 3, the market gives another 10% back. So now we're in year 4, and what we have $290,000 over here. We got $290,000. And we're going to say, we made another 10% interest. And what does that give us? That gives us $29,000, which we put back over there. So we ran out of cash when the market fell 20%, but the following year, because we didn't touch it, we were able to get back, and now we're right back at $300,000. We got enough cash to see us through for year 4. We got enough cash. We're right back to where we were at the end of year 4. Now we don't have any more cash, and that's a fact. So if the market stays flat, we're going to have to dive into some of the principal. That is a fact. But that's just with the market dropping 10% or 20% and going up 10, 10, 10. And if you look at the history of the market, it doesn't do that. It goes down 20%, it goes up 15, 20. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen again. We just don't know. But that is, I don't want to say the worst case scenario, because 2008 was the worst case scenario. But that's an easy way for you to at least avoid the risk of the first couple years of retirement. Just keep enough in cash in order to not have to sell when the market's down. Now, what happens if the market stays flat for a year or two or goes up to 310? You can't really see that. Let's say a couple years go by, another year goes by, and the market simply grow to 310. We got no cash over here. What do? Now we're in our 5th, 6th, 7th year, all right? Well, it's okay to start pulling some principal off here without question. But what you really should be doing is belt tightening at that point. If this happens now, you need to start belt tightening where you say, I'm not going to take money out of the market. I'm going to have to tighten my belt. And that's the interesting thing with retirement spending. Most people's belts tighten automatically as they get older in retirement. So no longer do you need $20K a year. Now you might need 15, 10 even. We have studies on this, my friends, that said most people, as they get in their 70s and then the 80s, the 20 that they needed when they first started out, they don't need that anymore. And so the thing with this plan right here is we're saying between the time you retire and the first basically 5 to 8 years, we can avoid you getting hammered by a down market. You don't have to get hammered by a down market at all. And then we revisit and we say, okay, Mary and Bob, let's just say we had to dip into a little bit of principal, but now we're 75 years old. All right? And now we don't need, now we had to dip a little bit of principal. We got $275,000 in this bucket, but now you're 75 years old, and now you don't need $20,000, you might need 10. I mean, I don't know, but we're just using that for example. So now we're sitting there saying, okay, so we were able to survive when a pretty big decline in the market when you first retired, which would have been bad luck. I've told you about before the sequence of return risk where if you retired in 1973, you ran out of money after 18 years, whereas somebody else who retired in 1975 had millions of dollars by the time they died, just because those 2 years were just bad luck. So here we're back. We took a lump in the first year of retirement, but because we did not have to tap into much principal, we did a little bit. And now our spending has declined, we think. I mean, obviously this might not be applicable to you, but it's going to be applicable to a lot of you because we have studies on this. Now instead of needing 20, we only need 10 because we still have 30,000 from Social Security. So now we need 40 total, and just 10,000 a year comes from this guy. So why don't we just take 30,000 from here? All right, so we're going to take 30,000 from our 275, and that gives us what, 245? And then we're right back at it. That gives another 5, 6, 7 years of safety without getting killed when the market declines 20 or 30%. So if another 20% market decline, you have 30,000 to see you through. You got your Social Security plus 10,000 a year on top of that. That's without annuitizing anything. That's without putting on any, we're just talking basic stuff here. 7% average rates of return, whatever it's going to be. The worst case scenario, I'm not even saying, when the market gives us gains, take it off the table to hopefully not only replenish the cash, but to add more to it. So give an example. All right, say 275 is what we have now. The market goes up 20%. So 20% on 275 times 20%, 0.2. We're going to have 330 in here now. So it goes up 20%. We have 330. That's $55,000. We just move over here. 55K. Now we're back down to 275. But we've now solidified this right here on that first bucket, which would cover us probably for the rest of our lives. Now, maybe it will cover us for 8 years, but generally speaking, that's going to cover us for a long time. So that way, when this money right here goes up and goes down, goes up and down, we don't have to do anything with it. I'm telling you, man, the 2-bucket approach is the way to go. Now, what happens is you got to look at this every year. This is not a set it and forget it plan. You got to do, and it's just basic maintenance. Again, at the end of the day, where should the money come from? Should it come from stocks or should it come from cash? All right, so if we have gains on the table, the idea is to take your gains off the table and move them to cash. If you don't have gains on the table, don't touch your stocks. It's literally that simple. Wait, so you start January 1. I got $500,000 or $300,000, $100,000, I don't know, in the stocks. December 31st, 31 December, the following year, I got, we'll say going back to the 100,000, I got $140,000 in there. The market went gangbusters. Take 40,000 bucks and dump it into cash. All right. Now I don't need to touch the market again. So even the market falls 20% the following year, my 100,000 now down to 80, but I got all this cash sitting on the side I can tap into for the next many, many years to come. And that's all there is to it. Now let's say the 100,000 dropped to 80,000, but the following year it's up to 120. Take the 20,000 out, dump it in cash. So I'm always using this as my base at 100,000. When it goes below 100,000, leave it be. When it goes above 100,000, take it, dump it into cash, and keep the cash account rolling, because again, your Social Security is your bond. Your cash is for to make up the difference between what you need and what Social Security provides. And this, your stocks, will give you the long-term growth potential for inflation, and that way you can take gains off the table, because gains happen more than losses do. But gains are only good if you take them. Take them off the table. You don't have to worry about capital gains for most, because your taxes are going to be so minimal. If anything, anyway, it's not going to be a big hit to you at all. And you don't have to worry about taking distributions from your IRA either, because in this case, again, there is no taxes, because your standard deductions are higher than your taxable income, which means you pay nothing. Now, every situation is different, but again, 100,000 baseline. If the following year is worth more than 100,000, take the gains off the table. The following year is less than 100,000, leave it be. Just tap into your cash bucket. And that, my friends, is a 2-bucket retirement plan, is the best thing ever. Now, people get into these 3 buckets and 4 buckets. I don't think you should do that. Just look at your Social Security as a second bucket, the bond bucket, because that's what it is. Now, lastly, you can always later on in the day, if you start getting nervous, you can always annuitize a portion of your portfolio. So $100,000 annuity equals about $5,500 a year income, depending on your age, depending on your marital status. That's for someone who's probably 70, married, filing jointly. A 5.5% payout rate. You'll get that for the rest of your life. It won't grow, it won't go down. It just stays $5,500 each and every year. $5,500 each and every year. Now, you don't have that $100,000 anymore in your portfolio, so that's a sacrifice. You can't have access to that, because once you do an income annuity, you can't undo it. It's an irrevocable contract after usually 14 days, a free look, 10 to 14 day period. But if it gives you some solace to say, man, I'm really tapped in, the market's gone down, and I don't know, Trump got elected, Obama got elected, the nukes, blah, 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 and you're like, I can't take this anymore. There's nothing wrong with doing an income annuity. Absolutely. Where would that fit in this overall bucket scheme, the 2-bucket approaches? You want to take a guess? You got 2 buckets. Where would that fit? And neither, because this is, again, bonds. Annuities, any guaranteed sort of income is considered a bond. For me, that's what I would say. So that $5,500 doesn't affect the portfolio that we've been talking about here, because that would be considered another bond, which would also reduce how much you need on a year-to-year basis. Now you got Social Security kicking in, you got annuity kicking in. That means the gap is now lessened simply because you have more income coming in guaranteed, which means there's less stress on this portfolio over here. Don't make it too simple. So anyway, I hope this helps. I'd love to hear comments, questions, concerns. If you have any, just drop them down below for sure. Thumbs up. The 2-bucket concept, maybe one of these days I'll do an ebook on it. But again, for me, I need the visual. And I know that's not the best writing. Look at that chicken scratch. But hopefully this will give you something to chomp on. As always, don't forget to subscribe to Heritage Wealth Planning, the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel, the heritagewealthplanning.com. That's the blog, so go there as well. And comments and thumbs up always help. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks now.